I read 23 books this summer. The graphic novels I read first before I talk about the other books I read. I read 10 graphic novels in summer. I was going to make a long video on Law Olympus. I was going to read it. I was going to write about it, and then I was going to make like a video essay kind of vibe. But oh my god, it was so bad. It was so bad. It was so boring. It was so annoying. I was so annoyed. I couldn't stand Persephone. I couldn't stand Hades. I couldn't stand anybody. The only person I liked was Minty, and she got turned into a mint plant. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. So I read Law Olympus 1 to 8, and at volume 8, I was like, I cannot physically get myself to read anything on Law Olympus ever again. So that was a failed project, but it was not a personal failure. Okay. The next audiobook and the next graphic novel I read was Leap by, I'm just gonna put it here. I'm gonna say the name and then I'm gonna put it here. Okay, so you guys can know who wrote it because I don't know who wrote the books. Um the next book was Leap. It was a graphic novel about teenage ballerinas, and it was a lesbian graphic novel, and it delved into friendship and hard work and obsession and the ills of ballet and all that fun stuff, accepting yourself and not accepting bare minimum. And I liked it. I really, 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 really liked it. It was very good. The art was really pretty as well. The main character was not like the most interesting person, but her roommate was very interesting. So, would I recommend you to read Leap? Yes. If you're not opposed to YA, um, low stakes kind of books, then definitely check out Leap. The next graphic novel I read was When I Arrive at the Castle. And this graphic novel was very short. It was very, 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 very short. And I was like, okay, what happens next? I was very underwhelmed. It was very underwhelming for me because I had it had a lot of hype around it. It was like, oh, it's horror, oh, it's gory, oh, it's sapphic, oh, this, oh, that. I went to read it and I was like, is that all? I guess. Is that the is that is that the end? And it was the end of me ever reading any graphic novel by that author ever again. It wasn't the worst. It wasn't like a bad book. It was just so boring. Like I wasn't spooked. I wasn't intrigued. I was just like meh. So would I recommend you read that book? No. Okay. My Sister the Serial Killer. This is a book by a Nigerian author, and it follows two sisters who are twins. I think they're twins, or I might be mixing up. It's either they are like twins or they're just regular sisters. And one of the sisters is the beautiful sister that everyone is like enamored with. The other one is the darker skinned sister that obviously because of colorism, people don't think she's pretty and things like that. But fun fact about the pretty sister, she is a serial killer. I mean, the book's name is kind of like a giveaway of what happens in the book. Her sister is a serial killer that kills her boyfriends. And you know me, I'm like here for women's wrongs. I'm like, okay, so she kills her boyfriends. Why does she kill her boyfriends? They never tell us why exactly she killed her boyfriend, because sometimes she tells us that the boyfriends are like abusive, and her sister, who is the narrator, is like, I don't think her boyfriend was abusive. I think my sister just likes to kill people. I'm like, I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but the ending was very lukewarm for me. I was like, Okay, did we like do all that for nothing? I hope you're hungry. But nothing. That's exactly what the ending gave. I don't know. Endings really disappoint me sometimes. I feel like I enjoy a really good book, and then the ending is like just there, and I'm like, okay, so where do I go from here? Anyways, the ending was very lukewarm for me. I didn't really. I wasn't like. I wasn't impressed. But if you want to read a book about a woman in male-dominated spaces, then this is the book for you. Like, literally pick it up and let me know what you think. Come back to this video after I have recommended it to you and you have picked it up and you finished it. Be like, let me go back to that YouTuber's video and comment what I thought about the book. And if you read the book already, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Okay, because I'm going to read all the comments. Um, Talking about the characters in this book, I really liked. Did I really like the characters? I actually don't remember like being like enamored by the characters or like thinking these characters are like so well written. There's really no character arc. The elder sister, who is like considered the uglier sister, she really pissed me off because it was just giving male centered at some point. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if you even care that your sister is killing this man, or you just basically hate your sister because, well, I wouldn't say basically you're jealous of your sister, but her jealousy would be valid because her mom was treating her badly because her mom did not think she was pretty. The people around her were very shitty to her and only nice to her sister because her sister was pretty. So jealousy makes sense. But other than that, I feel like she actually hated her sister and she just wanted her sister to like actually die or like go to prison. But at the end of the day, we saw that that was not the case. She actually kind of cared about her sister. And I'm like, okay. But still, I don't think that the characters were like very well developed. I don't think I particularly cared so much about any of the characters. If any of them had died or any of them had gotten injured, I would not have cared. And then there was like this random man that I remember that was ill, and then he had like a very small part to play. Anyways, let's just move to the next book. Next book I read this summer for the book club I was in that dissolved into nothingness was Butter Honey Pig Bread. And I've been meaning to pick this book up, and I'm so happy that this book club finally forced me to like get into this book. Because this book right here, a masterpiece. A masterpiece. I love myself literary fiction. Like literary fiction is just like my bread and butter. Not to, not to copy from them, but like, I love literary fiction. I love like the deliciousness of the prose, the way they tell us the story. I don't know. I'm not the kind of girl that like cares about showing. Like, tell me the story. Like, I'm a child in bed and you're trying to make me go to bed. Like, hmm, I love myself some literary fiction, and this literary fiction right here, the author eight, did her big one, wrote characters that were so memorable, so like flawed, so beautifully written. And I was like, this is my kind of book. So let me just tell you guys what Butter Honey Pig Bread is about. Butter Honey Pig Bread follows two sisters. Um, I don't know, they're twins, and Taye and Kehinde. Yeah, Taye and Kehinde, and they follow like they go to like through two different paths after their father dies, and then they both move away to like different countries, and we just follow their lives like left right left right left right, and it's just such a like a beautiful book about intergenerational trauma, about family dynamics, about acceptance, about identity, about forgiveness and guilt. And I just loved it so much. It was about loss, it was about reincarnation, and it's just such a beautiful book. Because it's been so long I've read this book, I cannot really tell you things I didn't like, but obviously no book is perfect, and there are some things that I didn't like about this book, even if I don't remember it right now. I was probably reading and I'm like, what the fuck is this? But like, I overall had such a beautiful experience reading this book, and I think if you like everything I've said about this book, then you should definitely pick it up and skip away from here if you don't want spoilers. Okay, skip to the next chapter, which is the next when I yeah. Spoilers, 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 spoilers. Okay, so if you've read Butter Honey Pig Bread, I want to talk about guilt in the sense of Taye not coming out to fight the person that um was raping her sister and she was underneath the bed. I want to talk about that. I want to like ask you guys' like opinions on how exactly Taye as a child should have done better, or if it was her responsibility to do better at all. Like what was what how else could have that scenario played out? Do you think like Taye has some guilt that she rightfully should like hold on to, or is it like a situation where even like as a child herself that she was, this was a helpless situation for her as well? Okay, let me know your thoughts, and I just wanted to have that conversation without spoiling it for other people. Okay, now let's go to the next book. Set of books I read was after Sinners came out. I love Sinners. I watched Sinners 4 times in cinema, and I'm proud. Okay, nobody can shame me for that. Um, After I watched Sinners, I wanted more like black vampire vibe, horror vibe, something that resembled Sinners. And to this day, I haven't found anything that closely resembles Sinners in a book form. I have read other vampire books, but that would be a different video. I'm going to make another video about the black vampire books that I've read, okay? The first book I read was Ring Shout. Now, Ring Shout is about a girl who finds out that she has like this magical powers to fight something called the Ku Kluxes. So the Ku Kluxes is basically the demons that the people of the clan kind of what do they call it? They invoke these demons to kill black people. And it's basically like racism, but like turn it up 50 million notches and add a bit of demonic powers into that. And then you're talking about Ring Shout. Now Ring Shout did not have vampires. It had like gory, it really leaned into the gore, okay? Things were gory. It was spooky. It wasn't spooky. It was like creepy and like disgusting. How the Kluxes, the Ku Kluxes, the demons were described, and I really ate that up. I really liked it. I remember I was like working an evening shift at the library, and I was listening to the audiobook, and at a point I stopped and I was like, ugh. That's how the book made me feel. So if that's the kind of book you're looking for, then Ring Shots is the book for you. I've been seeing a lot of people say that it's like the same thing as Sinners. I wouldn't say that if you're looking for like a vampire book, then you should read Ring Shout. It has nothing to do with vampires. But if you're looking for something like spiritual, demonic, and gory, and scary and spooky, then Ring Shout is the book for you. Another book I read at the same time that I was in my Sinner's bag was The Reformatory. The Reformatory was such a sad book. It was a really long ass book though, and it only took like place like within like a week or so. I think the whole book was like a whole week, but like it was such a good book. It was action packed. The plot was very like um fast paced. Yeah, there was so much packed into that time. So much so much themes were addressed. It was a book about like bad schools that are like racist, schools that have to do with like um torturing children. It was really good. It talked about like racism, and because it was set in like the olden days in America, I'm blanking on the actual years. I don't know if it's the 1950s or early on in the 1940s. But it follows this boy and his sister. The boy slapped a white teenager who was trying to like move like who was trying to like make advances at his sister, and then the judge sends him to this school that is notorious for being like a place where boys just go to like suffer. And it's also a place where there's something called haints, and haints are like dead people, like the ghosts or the apparitions of like dead beings. So it's very scary there. It's like a very like a place that's like shrouded with myth and like spooky stories, ghost stories, and things like that. So he goes to this school, and his sister is outside trying to bring him out of the school because she doesn't think that him pushing or him slapping like this white boy who came onto her is like a suitable crime for him to be there. Honestly, like nobody deserved to be in that school, that like no boy, none of those boys there deserved to be in that school. It was so disgusting. The conditions that these people put the boys through, it was so disturbing. There's instances of trigger warning, rape, sexual harassment, starvation, torture. It's so terrible. And the book really leans into this themes of like demonizing these evil schools that are used to break children down. And I really loved how very sensitive, like how very sensibly um the author like wrote the themes. It was very heavy topics that she was dealing with, and I feel like she did it very wisely, very well. Now it does have a spiritual like spiritual aura to it as well, because I talked about the hints. Those are the apparition of dead people. This boy that goes to the school, he can see hints, so he kind of has like the privileges to help this person like catch hints. And then there's like a plot twist that one of his friends that he has been like following around, I think I remember his name, but I won't say his name so I don't spoil it for you, um is a hint as well. And I was like, God, I was like, oh, I did not see that coming. But all in all, it was a really good book. And would I read it again? Yes. Would I recommend it to people? I definitely would recommend this book to people. I feel like it's one of those books that stays with you and like you remember, because you can see that I can talk extensively about the book because it's been months since I read it, but it's still so vivid and fresh in my mind. Okay, next book. Already here. We're already talking about horror. I feel like this is the time for me to continue talking about the other horror books I read this summer. Starting very strongly with Sorrowland by River Solomon. I am going to make a separate video on all the River Solomon books I've read ever, and I think I've read almost every book in his backlist. I'm missing two books, but I'm going to get to them before the end of this year, and expect an extensive video talking about themes, my favorite quotes, everything from River Solomon. I'm giving you guys like a taste of what my channel is going to be looking like very soon. Okay. So, Sorrowland by River Solomon is a book about religious indoctrination, racism, illegal like human testing of like drugs, and it's sci-fi. It's everything. It's everything. I love it so much. Anyways, the book follows our main character is an intersex albino woman. Did I just say intersex albino woman? Intersex albino person who um escapes from her religious commune called Canaan Land, and she ran away while she was pregnant. She was 7 months pregnant. She ran away, and then she gives birth in the woods because like it's Canaan land is like far, far, far in the woods, and then you walk and walk and walk and walk, and she was still in the woods for like months. She gave birth. She was in the woods for years because she gave birth to um her children, twins, Harlan and one other name I can't remember. Or was it one child? No, it was two children. I said two childs. Can you imagine that? Whatever. English is Englishing right now. So she gives birth to her two children. They're twins. She raises them in the woods, and then finally she's like, "We can't stay in these woods forever. We need to leave." So they leave, and then weird shit is happening to her. By the way, she's blooming flowers from her back. She's sick. She's throwing up. She knows that there's something definitely wrong with her. She's hallucinating. Her children are worried for her. And then we just follow her like transformation from a human being into like this creature that she becomes. And then we find like so many secrets about like what Canaan land really is, the racism in Canaan land, the the people that fund Canaan land, who is funding Canaan land, what is Canaan land, how did it begin, what's actually going on there, and then we see like a cathartic ending where she goes and she kind of like gets her revenge and her vengeance, and it's such a good book about identity, intersectionality, queerness, religious indoctrination, brainwashing, um harmful scientific testing on black bodies, and I just had so much fun and so much like emotions reading this book. And I would recommend this book to anybody who has listened to everything I'm saying and is like, should I? You definitely should. You definitely should read this book. River Solomon's Wine is brilliant and one of my favorite authors right now that I am like reading about. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. What we're going to talk about is The Forest Demands Its Due. It's a book about a particular forest that surrounds a school and it's in this town, and people that die in this forest are kind of like forgotten. Nobody remembers. There's no traces of the people that die in the forest. And then there's this black gay boy who is in this predominantly white school, and he's getting bullied for being black and for being gay. And then they now say like he is the chosen one, and he's special and he can break the curse for the town and everything. And I did not like this book at all. Like at all, at all. It was very much given, and this might be a very hot take by the way. It was given, okay, I'll ask a question. I just did not understand why. Why would a black gay man that is being bullied, he's facing racism, homophobia from the school, from the not just the students, mind you, the school authorities and all of them people, why would he feel so strongly to help them break the course? At first it was like, oh, if he doesn't break the course, they're going to send him back to go to prison because he had an incident where the fire, like there was a fire and he was one that, like, it was arson and then people died. But even after finding out that he wasn't the one that like did the thing that happened, like it's just very confusing right now in my mind. He felt so strongly to help these people that were like actively oppressing him, and I don't know why. Maybe I'm just like a hater, but like, why was he so strong willed to help these people that would kill him if they could? Mind you, they've tried to kill him like multiple times. I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't like my kind of, like, it was my kind of book in the sense that it was horrific. It was fantastical. There were like beasts that were native to the forest, and they were emissaries, and they had like guardians and people that could fight, and there was like mad, the forest was very much enchanted. Time worked differently. you could be walking straight, but you're actually walking in a circle. I really liked like the experience in the forest and how like enchanted and magical and fantastical it was and whimsical. But I'm like, I did not understand why this character had so much motive to change the for like to break this course. Why was he like so charged? It made no sense to me. I was like, this are we like telling people to like just like fight for their oppressors? I don't know. I didn't like it at all. I read was The Other Black Girl. And if you ever heard about this book, let me know what you thought about it because I personally was not the biggest fan of it. I felt that the ending was very rushed. I feel like I wasn't like very impressed with the concept of the OBGs. I just felt like, I don't know. Like, okay, I get the fact that we're talking about people who are sellouts and people who would push like other minorities down so they can like become closer or like appeal or pander to whiteness. And I get all of that, but I just feel like it was so like badly executed. And I wasn't really excited about the book. I kind of like struggled to finish the book. And I don't know what it was exactly. I feel like I was confused most of the time, and that necessarily is not a bad thing. I really like books where I'm confused, but it has to be a good kind of confused. It very much read like a debut, and it was a debut. And I'm a writer myself. I know like writing a book is hard. It's not supposed to be easy to write a book. If it's too easy, you end up with like flimsy books that are like not good. I think like maybe this book needed like a few more rounds of editing and a few more developmental edits and just to make it more cohesive and more like easy to comprehend. And I don't know. I don't know if I would recommend this book to you, but if you want to read a book about hair gel that makes you that brainwashes you, then you definitely should read the book. But if you want to take my word for it, I think maybe you can skip this one. You're not really missing out on anything. Mother Home is a book by River Solomon. The second of his of their book. I'm forgetting the pronouns. I need to check. Second of their books I'm reading in summer, and again, I have to rant about how good of a writer River Solomon is. River Solomon took a haunted house story, flipped it on his head, talked about abuse, talked about not just like external abuse, um, familiar abuse, like within family dynamics. Again, like he did, like they did in like they did in Soroland, talking about racism, sexism, classism, living in a community that is like mostly white and being like the outlier. I loved this book so much. And the ending, I cried. I was like, bruh, what crime did black people commit in this world? I was like, what crime did minority groups commit to have to go through things that are so traumatic, so traumatic, and for like useless, dumb reasons? Like obviously nobody's trauma is built of like a good reason, but like really, skin tone, it's crazy, it's madness, it's unintelligent. It's like, oh my god. This book was very heavy. You should look up trigger warnings before you read it. It's a book about a haunted house, and it's a book about the abuse that this black family living in a predominantly white neighborhood go through. The house does a lot of evil things to them, and then at the ending we find out that not it's not just the house that has done these evil things to them, but their neighbors as well. Yeah, yeah. It's really heavy. Like anytime I think about the book, I'm like, that book was something. It's very horror. It's very horrific. For sure, it's very horrific. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Moment of silence is done. I'm not gonna cry. Let's move on to the next book. Now for this book, I'm just going to be talking about the other like random like horror books I read. I'm going to list it out and I'm going to talk about it. Talking about Rouge, The Rust Maidens, Jawbone. That's all. Three. Okay. Let's start with Rouge. Rouge is a book by Mona Awad, and I really got into Mona Awad like recently. After reading Rouge, I was like, I need more of this fever dream esque prose, fever dream esque plot. I don't know what's going on. I think the main character and the narrator, who like the main character is the narrator, is losing her mind. I am obsessed with this crazy thing that's going on. Sign me up. Rouge follows a girl who has this very beautiful mother, and she has always tried to like compete with her mother, so she's very much skincare obsessed. Which this book inspired the book I'm writing. Okay, I will talk about the books I'm writing in another video. Okay, but this book inspired it, and she becomes skincare obsessed. She listens to this skincare like YouTuber, I mean podcaster. She's obsessed with her skin. She knows she has like multiple products. And then her mom dies. She goes home. She's trying to sell off her mom's like house, sell off her things. And then a woman in a red dress comes and everything changes. She goes to this spa. There's something very idyllic yet sinister about the spa. She getting free treatments. Her mother's housekeeper is saying that like, ooh, that spa is very like what's the name? Very expensive. How are you able to afford it? And she's like, I'm getting my services for free. She meets this other boy who is also kind of in on what's going on in that spa. And we just have this beautiful novel that's very fever dream like, but very packed with themes of confronting the ills of like the beauty industry and the expectations on women and just people in general to be beautiful and not age, and the issues with aging and overconsumption of like beauty products, toners, serums, 50 serums, 10 serums. Oh my god, it's so much. And it's so like so like what's the word? Exhausting and overwhelming to keep up. And that was what this book was talking about. And yeah, would I recommend you read this book? Definitely. It's very creepy. You would be asking yourself, what am I reading? I'm not sure I know what I read till today, which is good. Which is a good thing, okay? Next book I said was Mexican Gothic. If this book has no haters, I'm dead. I'm literally dying. I don't like this book. I hated this book actually. I did read it and it just fell flat. You know what I mean? I enjoyed the horror. Like I enjoyed the magic, right? The magic of the mushrooms, the house, the spores, and the creepiness of it. I enjoyed. The characters, however, fell so flat. I feel like they kind of ruined the book for me. The main character, we open in this scene where she's like this bossy, domineering, powerful woman. And then she goes to this home on a mountain, excluded and separated, secluded from like everybody else. And then she just like loses all her power. I'm like, 5 pages into the book, and you're a totally different person than who we started you from. And I don't know if that was like intentional because of like all the other things that's going on in the house. But I don't know. I just felt like she could have like been a much more powerful character if we had given her the chance to, but also did not give her the chance to. You know what I mean? She had a chance to. Her love interest, I did not buy the fact that they were in love. I was like, am I being pranked? Are you guys pretending? I don't know. There was no chemistry there. And I was like, whatever. I don't think I believe you guys are in love. And yeah, would I recommend you read this book? I actually will recommend you read this book as well. I don't think it's a terrible, terrible book. I did hate the book, not gonna lie. I hated all the characters. I felt like they were lame, and the book was very sinister. Okay, um, but I don't know. I didn't like the characters. I feel like there was like hardly any like character development. They were just like flat characters. But it was spooky. There was like an old man that like had lived for like centuries, and he body hopped from one person to another person, and the house had like weird spores flying and planting themselves in your brain. Yeah, it was a very spooky book, but was it the best book? I don't think so. Jawbone, jawbone. I read Jawbone when I finished the first draft of my novel. My novel is about a group of Catholic boarding school girls in a cult. And then I was like, you know what? I should read books that have this kind of premise. I actually wanted to see if there was any book that has this kind of premise. And I read Jawbone, and it had the premise. It was like, yes, this is the book. This is the book that has inspired me even more to like continue writing my book. When I read Jawbone, I was like, wow, this is such a an interesting book. It was beautiful prose. It was very well written. The characters were very interesting little girls, to say the least. It follows a group of girls in a prestigious religious school. They meet up in this uncompleted building, and they kind of turned the building into like their hangout spots. And then they had like a place that was kind of like a shrine. They painted the walls white, and they served something called the white god. And the book was very creepy. It was very sinister because these little girls were doing like very terrible ritualistic things to themselves, like wearing heavy jewelry and slapping each other, walking on like ledges from very high heights, and then making fun of the other girls that were scared to do it. They were swimming in creeks that had like crocodiles in it, even if they weren't sure that it was a crocodile. Someone said they saw a crocodile, but they were not sure. But they swam in the. They did like very very like dangerous ritualistic things. And most of all, it was a book about mother-daughter relationships. Because on the other hand, it followed this teacher, their English and literature teacher, who left her school, her like former school, to their school after her students kidnapped her in her own home and threatened to kill her. So because of that, she's scared of little girls, and then she comes to this school, and then one of the girls gives her like this long note telling her basically, I know everything about you. I know you're scared of girls. I know you don't want to touch us. And this like sends her over the deep end because she's already like losing her marbles. And yeah, it's a very sinister book, very well written. I really had fun reading the book. It's also like a very like troubling book. So please look up trigger warnings. Like trigger warnings for this entire list of books. I don't know why I have a thing for freaky, like weird books, but definitely check trigger warnings for these books. So that is Jawbone. The next book I read is body horror. It's called The Rust Maidens. And how did I feel about this book? I feel like it was a book that it was well written. It was just not for me. I just did not feel very very much interested in the lives of the Rust Maidens. So the book is a body horror book about a group of girls who mysteriously start to change into these creatures of like rust and metal and erosion and corrosion. And I think like the book is very much a testament or like a review of environmental classism and environmental racism, if you can say that, like racism as well. What like, well, environmental racism is a thing, but I don't think it applies in this book because this book was very much about environmental classism. It talked about like the toxins in the air from what's the name? From factories and how it affects the people around those said factories. We see that this factory that the people work in this small fictional town is the source of livelihood for the entire town. All the men work in the factory. All the women pray and like stay home, take care of their children, and then hope that the factory doesn't close down. But we see like the factory was on the brink of closing down, and then these girls start to turn into basically like engines. There's like metal growing out from their skin. Their faces are becoming like half flesh parts, rusted metal. They have like engine. And then we follow like this girl. Well, she's like a girl, and then there's if like a move towards when she's like a woman, and we follow how her best friend and her cousin turns into one of the Rust Maidens and how she had to like come to terms with that loss and then her moving away, coming back. And yeah, it was sad. It was a good book. I just like did not really connect to it. For some reason there was a bit of a disconnect. But I would definitely recommend it to other people. I don't think like because of my experience people should not read the book because I don't think the book is like inherently badly written. It just had a disconnect for me. Short stories that I read. I read two short stories this summer. The first one I read was The River Has Roots, and it was like a book like I had never read before. It was very whimsical. The magic system was very confusing, and I kind of liked that because it was very much not trying to explain to me what the magic was. I just followed the lives of two sisters who live in this magical, fantastical world, and there's this place that they're not supposed to go to, and then they end up falling into the magical river and then going that way. The thing about the river is it always changes how it flows. It can flow north to west and then change to like east to south and stuff like that. And then there's this magical system, something called grammar, and grammar is their magic. It helps them to like turn from like animals to humans, and it helps them to like understand like their environment. It was just such a very beautiful novel, and I really liked it. I unfortunately cannot tell you guys like substantially what the book was, but I think like everyone can, if you like whimsical books, you should definitely give it a try. Read it and let me know what you think if you've read The River Has Roots. I feel like it was just something I had never like seen before and I had like so much fun reading it. The next short story I read is actually a Greek retelling and it's called Galathea. Galathea is a book about a woman whose husband is a sculptor and he went to like one of the gods and the gods made his sculpture that he was obsessed with. It's like a woman gave her life and now she had a daughter. She was being treated in this place. Why am I forgetting about like what the book is about? I promise you it was a good like short story. She's being treated in this place. Her husband is very abusive to her. He doesn't want to look at her like anymore because he's now obsessed with a new sculpture, I think. And then it's a book about like taking your power back. It's a book about depression and abusive relationships. And the ending was sad, but yeah, it was very sad, the ending. But I guess like it to like her justification or her reasoning for it rather was she had to take her power back, and the only way to escape him was in death. So she had to do this. I would recommend this book. Definitely look up trigger warnings for suicide and abuse and maltreatment. Yeah, definitely, definitely. The book I read because all the books I wanted to read were unavailable is Pink Glass Houses. Did I enjoy this book? I actually quite did. It reminds me so much of Big Little Lies, or was it Big White Lies? I feel like it's almost basically the same thing. Big Little Lies is a TV show about a group of moms at this elementary school who commit a murder, and then they're trying to hide the murder, and it's just like, yeah. This book, however, isn't about particularly a murder. It's about a group of people in Miami, I think Atlanta, Miami, right? Yeah, in Atlanta, who like are also in this elementary school, and there's a lot of trying to belong because you want to be one of the rich people. You want to like rub shoulders with the billionaires and the who's who's of the town. It's follows this particular woman who moves from a smaller town in Kansas to Miami, and then her daughter goes to this public school, and then she's like confused when she comes to public school, and she's seeing people with like Maseratis and Lamborghinis. She's like, this is public school. And then there's this other woman who her husband is just this asshole of a man. Her husband is just this asshole man, and he's in finance. And then she's in charge of fundraising for the school. That's her whole life, her bread and butter. She loves herself some fundraising. So we follow the friendship between the lady from Kansas and the lady who is the fundraising mom, and how their friendship doesn't last, but their daughters have like this refreshing friendship. So they are forced in this proximity with each other. We follow a scandal with this lady and her husband who are like the richest of the rich. Do you know what I mean? And they have this house called Rose the Second or something. Like one kind of fancy schmancy name they give their house. And basically the house is like a pink glass house. So that's how the name comes about. It was just refreshing, to follow like a bunch of rich people. I felt like I was like watching a reality show like Selling Sunset, or what's the name? All those reality shows like Buying Manhattan. I don't know. It was just funny, and it was really like refreshing. So I had fun, and then I went back to read like what I actually wanted to read. Yeah, always take a break, guys. Like you never know what you like find and what you like. You know what I mean? So the next book I've read is two books out of a book series. It's going to be four books. There's three books out. I didn't like the third book, so I'm going to just skip over that book. I don't know if that's going to like affect my understanding of the last book, but unfortunately, I didn't like the third book. So the first and the second book, the first book is Gideon the Ninth, and the second book is Harrow the Ninth. And it's basically sold as lesbian necromancers in space. And the first book follows Gideon the Ninth, the Cavalier. Honestly, the book is so hard to explain. It's very hard to explain. A lot of people find the book very confusing. I didn't find the first book confusing. The second book was very confusing for me, but it all made sense in the end because we found out that I'm not going to spoil it for you, but we found out something big, and I was like, oh, that's why this is confusing. Do you know what I mean? The first book follows a group of people who go to this house to try to become something called a lictor. A lictor is like one of the most powerful necromancers in this solar system, because the book is set in a solar system. like very much like ours. There's 9 planets, and yes, Pluto is going to be considered a planet here. So the people of the ninth house kind of live in a planet like Pluto, very far away from the sun. They've never seen trees. It's always night. They've never seen the sun. They've never felt the warmth of the sun. Their population is drastically reducing. There's only like 2 or 3 young, able-bodied people there. So they moved to the first house to try to become a lictor because Harrow, the queen, the reverend daughter, the queen of the ninth house, thinks like if she becomes a lictor, she'll be able to save her house from complete ruin. Which we'll see. So yeah, the book was very refreshing because it did not talk to me like I was stupid. It helped. I had to like understand what was going on, and to understand what was going on, I had to fight. I had to fight. I had to write down words, take down notes. I felt like I was part of the puzzle, like part of the people solving the puzzle in the book, which I really, 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 really found refreshing. The second book, Harrow the Ninth, follows Harrow. The first book follows Gideon. Gideon is Harrow's cavalier. Basically, Harrow is a necromancer with the magic, and Gideon is the cavalier with the sword that kind of protects her. The second book, Harrow, follows Harrow, but is from the second person POV. So basically, someone else is narrating it as if the person is inside her body. So the person's like you, like telling her story. And we follow Harrow on this massive omnibus, a very big, gigantic space vessel that has God of their kingdom, the Necrolord Prime, the Empire Undying. His name is John. John, such a random ass white ass name for the god of this universe. His name is John. Whatever. Boring ass name. Anyways, we followed Harrow on this omnibus with other lictors and the beautiful, wonderful Dulcinea Septimus. Dulcinea? No, Dulcinea Septimus is in the first book. Oh, forgotten her name. I have to check it. I didn't have to check it. I remembered. Her name is Iante Sagittarius Tridentaris. Yes, Iante Tridentaris is the only person that's on the ship with her from book one. And then, yeah, it's very interesting. They have a very interesting dynamic. It's a very much will they, won't they kind of situation, rivals to lovers kind of situation. Well, there's no lovers in this book, in this series. There is no lovers. Nobody is in love in this book. But that's very much the vibe that's the fandom and the writer perhaps is trying to give us. Yeah, I enjoyed both of these books. Then it came the next book and we're thrust into like this other planet and another character, and some of the characters that we very much know died in the first book, and I'm just like confused because the whole book is about like a birthday party and it's supposed to take place in like a a few number of days, but it feels like it's taking so much longer. So I'm like, okay, so days are probably like longer in this world, but I just like couldn't do it anymore. So I'm like, no, and I left and I didn't have to like read that book. So at the end of that book, so that's why it's not like really on the list. And I'm excited for the next book. Hopefully it's so much better. Then the last 4 books this is the part of my summer where I dedicated myself to reading Toni Morrison for the first time. And I'm really debating like going into like details on my thoughts about the books I read from Toni Morrison this summer, because I already made a whole video talking about it in depth, reading from my journals, my notes, talking about my favorite quotes, my favorite character in depth. So I don't know if I should talk about it in depth here. So I'm just going to give very, very brief um synopsis of what the books are about. Okay, the first book I read from Toni Morrison was Sula. Sula is a book about Sula and Nelly, their friendship. It spans through generations, and it's heartbreaking. It's like confronting a lot of things about woman, like female friendships, talking about man woman relationships, and how women have to bend to be who men want. Very, very interesting conversation that Morrison is trying to begin in with this book. And I feel like it has done the work. It has showed us the different kind of women, the Madonna and the horror complex kind of has told us, like, has, like, this book takes it to a greater level of like explaining that complex. The next book I read from Toni Morrison was Love, and this book follows a man, Bill Cosby, and the women that were obsessed with him in his life. He has 5 women that we follow who are obsessed with him: his wife, his granddaughter, his workers, and a random person that we don't know who she is. Who is Junior? That was her name, right? Yeah, that was her name. Who is Junior? I don't know who Junior is. Is she a magical creature? Does she have a hoof? These are the questions that matter. And it's a book about obsession, love, impact, and making a name for yourself, and what that means in a society that doesn't deem you worthy. I really like the book. It has a lot of conversations about grooming and abuse, as always, and it was a very good book. I was very fulfilled when I read it, and I think you should definitely pick up a book written by Toni Morrison. Whatever book that is, pick it up. Next book I read from Toni Morrison was Bluest Eye, and The Bluest Eye is a book about a girl, a black girl, who is obsessed with wanting blue eyes because she's considered the ugliest person in her community, and she believes that once she has her blue eyes, she'll be treated so much better. This book is a confrontational book about beauty standards, whiteness as the standard for beauty, um, colorism, racism, um, classism. It's such a very, very well, like, rounded book about the black experience in America, especially in the time that she was writing it. And even till today, I would say, as a black person living in a predominantly white country, the issues that you face from colorism, from disenfranchisement in jobs, the generational, like, poverty, colorism, bad, like, difficulty to get educated and things like that. It's a very, very important book, and I actually, my boyfriend got me a copy of the book, and I have it. Like, that's like the only book on this list I actually have a physical copy of, because of how much I loved this book. I love Piccola story. Go to my video on my channel and literally watch me rave about The Bluest Eye because of how much it's such a good book. The quotes in this book, to die for. To die for. Now, these are some books that are not mentioned in my video about Toni Morrison. There are 2 books, Recitative and Jazz. Jazz follows, and this is not a spoiler. The opening sentence of Jazz, we find that this man is cheating on his wife with a girl that is young enough to be his daughter. And then he kills her because he thinks that she's having an affair. So he's having an affair with his wife, but he kills his lover because he thinks his lover is having an affair with somebody else. Are you kidding me right now, sir? Anyways, the book has so much into it. It's about relationships, as always. I feel like every book is about relationships. Loss, love, hatred, everything. And it was such a beautiful book. It was a book about love and grooming, and I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. We go back centuries in this book. We go to when our main characters are like children. We go to when their parents are children, and it's a short book is like what, 120 pages long. So you can see how much prose and how much like Morrison is a master at her craft, at pacing, at making sure you get so much information and it doesn't feel like you're being like forced, like you're not getting like forced this information. It's such a beautiful like read. I definitely recommend it to everybody who is able to read the book. Recitative is a short story and the only short story that Morrison writes. It's a about two girls who meet at a homeless shelter and then they meet twice again in their lives after they leave that homeless shelter. If you've read it, tell me who you think the black girl is. I will always think that Twyla is the black girl, so let me know what you think. And it's such a beautiful book. It's such a short book and such a powerful book about um identity and like what it means to be like women in society. And I know like Morrison does not tell us who is white and who is black, even if we know like one of them is white and one of them is black. I think she was leaving it up to us to like determine who that was. But I very much think like Twyla is the one that is a black woman because of her experiences. She's disenfranchised. She is unable to like do so many things that she wanted to do in her life because of her person. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think. And I think with that, we have come to the end of this beautiful long video. I deserve like a big ass drink of water. Oh, I've been talking for hours. Anyways, I'm going to show you guys my art. I made this. This is my first art on canvas. It's basically buttons. I should bring it closer. Eh, eh. It's like just buttons that I like put on this canvas, and I think it's really pretty, very pink, very much me, very much me. And let me know what you think about my makeup. I literally just like I have no foundation on or whatever. I just put like silver eyeliner under my eyes and then blush. I'm a blush girly, so I have like blush on my face all day. And then red lip gloss. That's all. That's all. That's all. And I made this top. It's so pretty. It's like a butterfly top. Do you see the arms? Yeah, get into it. Get into it. It's giving very much industrially made. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and let me know all your thoughts. Give me comments. Tell me things that I'm saying wrong because I feel like I'm always open to learning. And let me know if you've read any of these books, what that feels like. And if you go to the end of this video, put pink hearts in the comments and so other people are confused because they don't know why there's so many pink hearts. Let me know. Okay, bye.